How goes it? What's happening? This is, you know who this is. This is Uncle Dell, the brown skin assassin, shooting never passing, Big Dell. And I will tell, this is the real spiel, baby. We going live. I'm doing a live drive today. I got my daughters with me, and we heading down to the other side of town. For those who know Toronto, I'm in Scarborough. We're going to Brampton, so we got a little bit of a drive. So I thought, you know what? Let me talk to the people, because I've been telling you, we have to strike back at the Negro media, the Negroes in sports, I call them, the Negroes in sports. And you know what? If I'm telling you to shut these dudes down, I got to give you more content. So what I'm here to do is I'm here to express some things, talk about some things, enlighten you on some things. And the only thing I'm talking about for now is Kyrie, right? I'm boycotting. I am boycotting the NBA. And for those who understand, like, my biggest pastime is watching NBA basketball. That's all I want to do. And my beloved Raptors, that's all I want to do. I set my day to it. I set my week schedule to watching the Raptors, watching my NBA teams. It hurts me not to follow. I've started the process of unfollowing. Everybody I told you to unfollow, ladies and gentlemen, you got to unfollow these. Process of the unfollow. Call your mom, tell her I'm on live, so just call her, because she's gonna keep calling me. When you go through the process of the unfollow, figure out is it's okay. It's okay. You don't need to follow that stuff. Right now, we're addicted to bad media. We're addicted to very bad media. And what I need us to understand is we can create our own media. I follow some great guys here on social media, on the social platform now, and we actually have better information most of the time. We have a better viewpoint. We have a better first take than most of that. NBA Today is every day with me, for those who've been following me. So let's get into that. All I'm going to talk about is Negroes in the media, and I want to take you back to a historical scenario. 1971, a guy by the name of Spencer Haywood. Spencer Haywood was a 20-year-old standout basketball player who wanted to go pro. He's from Mississippi. He was picking cotton. He was broke, but he was a serious basketball player. And he tried to get on with, I believe he got on with the ABA. All right? Because I'm a basketballologist. You can ask me anything about basketball. I'm a basketballologist. So Spencer got on with the ABA. The Rockets signed him. And the Rockets signed him for $1.9 million over 6 years. Sounds like a beautiful deal, right? Because the ABA, they had a hardship clause where if you were broke, you could come to the ABA, even if you didn't go for your 4 years. The NBA had a 4-year mandatory. You had to go to the college for 4 years before you were eligible for the NBA. So Spencer Haywood signed a $1.9 million with the Rockets, got on with the Rockets, and then realized that the contract he signed, they deferred his money. They deferred his money into his 30s. That money was deferred. There was no signing bonus. It was terrible. It was a terrible contract. And he basically took him to court and tried to fight them for his money. But he made up his mind. He said, I'm going to the NBA. So now he gets picked up. I believe it's the Seattle Supersonics pick him up. And the owner of the team, his name is Schultz, right? We know where Mr. Schultz comes from, right? If your name's Schultz, we know where you come from. We know your background, right? So Schultz, though, stand-up guy, says, hey, Spencer, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to handle all your expenses. We're going to fight this thing. But the NBA says after they ask permission, Schultz, you can't sign him. He's 20 years old. He's 21 years old. He's supposed to play 4 years. He's got to wait a year. It's 3 years. Remember, he's 3 years in the ABA. And they said you can't sign him. Schultz signs him anyway. And basically, the court battle begins. This kid is escorted out of arenas. He's the commentators. Listen to this. The commentators referred to him as an illegal player. They said he's bad for the game. They say he's going to ruin basketball. His peers. Who are his peers? Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Oscar Robertson doesn't even want to shake his hand. Doesn't even want to shake, turns his back on him, right? Negroes in sports! Turns his back on him, says, you're going to cost us money. What you're doing, you're bringing unnecessarily negative attention. Why? Because he's a 21-year-old who just wants to play basketball. That's all. That's all he wanted to do is play basketball. What does Kyrie Irving want to do? He just wants to play basketball. That's all he wants to do. He doesn't want to play basketball under the conditions of he has to get an experimental vaccine. And he was right. He was right. All the money they took from Kyrie Irving, the Nets owe him all that money back. If he really challenges them in court, they owe him every penny of his money back because they had no right to make him sit out. He was right. He just wants to play basketball. So they basically said this young fella cannot play, and the NBA banned him from playing. And Schultz and Spencer Haywood took these guys to court. Injunction after injunction. Injunctions. Thank you, brother. I hope you subscribe. Injunction after injunction took place. He played. Sometimes he couldn't play. Apparently he played 33 games. I'm a basketballologist, boy. He played 33 games with all of the injunctions, and sometimes he was escorted out of the arena. Like I said, one time he was escorted out of the arena in his basketball uniform in the winter. Imagine. His teammates didn't even stand up for him. Does this sound familiar? 1971. At the end of the day, Spencer Haywood, the Supreme Court said if Spencer Haywood is not allowed to play basketball, it's a travesty of justice. And he was allowed to play and change the NBA forever. The NBA had to do what the ABA did and put a hardship clause, but it was irrelevant after that. It opened the door for players to come right out of high school. You know who came behind him? Moses Malone, Bill Willoughby, all these great players, Bob McAdoo, straight out of high school. They all came, and they owe everything to Spencer Haywood. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Negroes in sports don't realize what they owe to Kyrie Irving right now. And ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you, Kyrie Irving, what he's doing for the NBA, for black men in sports, is he's awakening them to this reality. This is the reality he's awakening them to, okay? You can only play if you play under the conditions we give you. That's what he's saying. How do I work? You know how I work I can't see the comments. Can't see the comments. They flash in and they flash out. You can only play if you play under the conditions I give you. We give you. And we can take it away anytime. That means, this is what this means. In the NBA, a contract is not a contract. What good is a collective bargaining agreement if the collective bargaining agreement does not protect players from the arbitrary decisions of management? If management doesn't like your attitude in a particular ideology that's not consistent with the NBA, has nothing to do with the NBA. Buck dancers, that's what they are, bro. It hurts, but we're going to bear it short term. Yep. Thank you very much. Subverting talents. That's right. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you very much. I can see it now. What if your boss could arbitrarily look on your social media and say, hey, I see what your opinion is about this particular politician. I don't like your opinion. And you know what? Until your opinion is changed, until you change your mind about that, you can no longer work here. I'm going to suspend you without pay. What they're doing to Kyrie is racial favoritism. Actually, what they're doing to Kyrie is illegal. It's called a, I believe they call it a structural dismissal. That's what they call it. I had that same thing happen to me when I was working in the police force. They basically took away all my capacity to do anything. I just had to come there and sit there, right? It frustrates you to the point where they want you to quit. They give you all of these hoops you have to jump through in order to get your job back. And ultimately what they are doing is causing a poisonous workplace. They are taking away your rights and freedoms. They are suspending his free speech, his capacity to be a legal and free-thinking agent. That's what they're doing. And also, there has been no true investigative analysis about the documentary by a third party that says, hey, this thing is not anti-Semitic. In fact, let's identify what is considered to be anti-Semitic, and let's have an empirical study of what is anti-Semitic in this document before we conclude it. Who is the judge and jury to say this documentary is anti-Semitic? Tropes, anti-Semitic tropes. I speak very well. I think I'm quite articulate. I've never heard trope used so much. I heard them use the word trope, anti-Semitic tropes. What the heck is a trope, and what does it mean? What do you mean anti-Semitic tropes? There's no aspect of history that doesn't have controversial elements. And when we're talking about history, I'm talking about our version of what has transpired in the past, has controversial elements to that history. You can sit there and watch the History Channel. I watch the History Channel all the time. And some of the stuff that I see in the History Channel, I don't agree with. And I'm like, that's not true. That's not even factual. You can ask me a question. You can watch a History Challenge at the History Channel and ask me a question about things that they refer to in the Bible. I'm saying, that's not true. That's not what happened. That's not accurate. This is the History Channel. You can ask me questions about things that I see in respect to Black history and some of the versions they give of the lives of Martin Luther King and other individuals that we have in history. And I'm like, that didn't happen. Who said this? Whose version of the truth is this? All the time that happens. All the time that happens. So you're telling me that if I or you post a documentary or post a book or post somebody else's thought, that becomes us giving hate speech? Come on, my friend, come on. Can I give you a controversial thought right now? Let's talk about Uganda. Let's talk about Uganda. And I'm going to put it in the same way. I'm going to put it in the exact same context. I went to speak to some Ugandan men about the Ugandan leader, right? If you listen to some of the words of the colonizer, they'll call him a dictator. But I'll say this, the Ugandan leader, Idi Amin. And I said to them, based on what I understood about Idi Amin, I was like, man, how was it to be in Uganda and to live under Idi Amin, listening to what has been said by the West about Idi Amin? And I said, man, you must have been afraid for your life dealing with such a guy. Like, tell me about it. And they looked at me, to every one of them, 4 men who were not friends, who just knew each other because they all went to the same church, Ugandan men, and they said, Idi Amin was good for Uganda. I was like, what? What are you saying? Idi Amin? White people, and I'm sorry I have to say it like that, white folk, but sometimes that's what happens. White people have painted Idi Amin like he is the African Adolf Hitler. That's what's happened. I'm speaking to Ugandans now, and they said, no, my friend. Idi Amin was good for Uganda. I said, please explain to me why. And this is what they said. They said it. I'm quoting friends of mine who I've heard it in the first person. It's not hearsay. So therefore, I'm giving eyewitness testimony to what other men said. When I finish this sentence, does that make me, is that hate speech? I'm gonna finish it in a minute. Is it hate speech for me to tell you somebody else's opinion about Idi Amin? Is that hate speech? Well, look what they said about Idi Amin. They said Idi Amin was good for Uganda because this is what one gentleman said, Africa must be governed with a whip. I was shocked when this gentleman said, I said, explain this to me. They were trying to give me the idea that at that time in the Ugandan history, that what Idi Amin was doing was good for Uganda. They were trying to show economically how foreigners had come into Uganda and had now appropriated the businesses. They controlled the banks. They controlled money. They controlled the economy. And that when Idi Amin kicked non-Ugandans out of Uganda, that economically was good for Uganda. And then secondly, they were saying that the toughness that he put on the regimes, and we know how tough he was, They said it was actually good for Uganda. These are the thoughts of those men. Now, there's many people who have been put out of Uganda who hear me say that now and say, oh my God, this man is endorsing Idi Amin. What kind of man is this that would sit on social media? No wonder he supports Kyrie Irving. I'm not telling you my thoughts. I'm telling you what I heard from men who came out of Uganda, who lived in Uganda, who were under the governorship of Idi Amin, and this is what they said. I was never there. I've got to listen to them. Now, Kyrie Irving is quoting the sources of a book or a documentary by another man who did his study, and he's putting it, and that man did his due diligence, and that man's information is on Amazon Prime. Bezos and Amazon have put that on a platform for people to view, and anybody can look at it. And so now when Kyrie Irving just simply says, guys, take a look at this, he's done something wrong? He's done something wrong? And this is the incredible part. Free speech no longer is free. And this is not my quote. This is a brother on my page, a subscriber. I'm so sorry I didn't get your name. Please, if you're seeing this, tell everybody it's you that said it, because it's not me that's saying this. He said it like this: free speech, the workaround for free speech is when people say, but it hurts people. When your speech hurts people, it's not free speech anymore. Okay, let's use that mentality. Let's use that concept that when your speech hurts people, it's not free speech anymore. So I guess we can paint Donald Trump in this category, because a lot of things that he said has hurt people, and I think a lot of us will conclude, yes, Donald Trump, a lot of hate speech. That's why Twitter banned him. That's why so many people are against him. And I concur. Donald Trump's speeches, his stuff hurt people. Okay, let's go. Farrakhan. Farrakhan has been accused of being an anti-Semite many times. Farrakhan has been accused of saying some things that hurt people, and so you say, yep, Farrakhan says stuff that hurts people. So, yeah, Farrakhan. Let's cancel Farrakhan too. Let's keep going. Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson. Fox News, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, I call Tucker Carlson the most racist man in America. That's what I call him. He's the most racist man in America. Tucker Carlson. And when Tucker Carlson says stuff that hurts people, they don't cancel Tucker, do they? Candace Owens. Candace Owens said some of the most hateful things. You see, I'm not just so you guys understand. I'm not just picking on white folks. Candace Owens said some crazy stuff about George Floyd. Her stuff hurt people. Was that considered hate speech? This is the thing, and I said it before. Free speech is free speech. You either give it to them, you either give it to everybody, or you become China. You become China. You give it to everybody, or become China. Find yourself a hot girl here. What the hell? I guess I got all the scammers and all. I got all the whatchamacallit, all the weirdos now coming out on this thing. You give free speech to everybody, or you become China and you tell people what they can say and what they can't say. That's all really is to it. Kyrie Irving has showed, and depending on what side of the fence you're on, that professional athletes should not have social media. That professional athletes will jeopardize their livelihood if they give opinions. Remember when they told LeBron James to shut up and dribble? Huh? What are they telling Kyrie? They told LeBron to shut up and dribble. And a lot of people are jumping down LeBron's throat because, remember, he's the one who said Kyrie said some things that hurt people. Well, you know what? David Chappelle says some stuff that hurts people. I hear what David Chappelle says about the transgender, the gay, LGBTQ plus something else. They added some stuff to that. I don't know what it is now. They add a lot of stuff to it. You guys add a different thing every year. I can't keep up. But he said some stuff. Does he hurt people? This is not how free speech works, ladies and gentlemen. Because guess what? People say things that hurt people all the time. And you can't, who's going to be the commissioner of hurt people speech? Because it's hate, because now it's, apparently we have hate speech and we have hurt people speech, right? Hate speech and hurt people speech. Hate speech, I thought we understood what that was. Hate speech is when you say something visceral about somebody's race, somebody's creed, somebody's religion, somebody's ethnicity, maybe even somebody's nationality. We could go that far, but Richard, we can't really. But that would maybe be hate speech. But we've lowered the bar now, or raised the bar. I don't know which way we're going with this. Now we got hurt people speech. Now you can't say anything if it potentially hurts a particular community, and who deems them to be hurt? Who deems themselves to be hurt? Media, right? The media says, yeah, you can't say that, it's hurting people. Let me tell you something about the Negroes in sports. It is so interesting that all of these new Negroes, I call them the new Negroes. There's a great book called the Harlem Renaissance. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, you got to read that book. I forgot the author. It's on the tip of my tongue. Somebody get it for me. But in his book, he had a terminology. He's called it the new Negro. The new Negro. Turn your volume down, man. I don't want to hear your music. I don't want to hear your music, man. My daughter listens to that crazy trap music. I don't want to hear none of it. The new Negro in sports is a very interesting Negro now, because he has come out. We basically, Kyrie Irving, he's brought out, like I said, you can't have an opinion anymore if you're a professional athlete. You're not allowed. Also, he's brought out that the new Negroes that are sitting there in those positions of power, they have been vetted very properly. Because isn't it interesting that not one single individual, not one single one of them came to Kyrie's aid? Not a single mainstream black player, ex-player, media mogul, media voice, not a single one of them came to Kyrie's aid. The only person I would say that stayed out of harm's way and did not say anything negative was Kenny Smith. I heard Kenny Smith say nothing negative. If somebody else heard him say something else after, right? Chris Broussard was trying to stay out of the way, but then they just put Chris back in line and told him, listen, Toby, you say what we tell you to say, boy. And Chris Broussard started to cut him down after he came back. After trying to just keep it neutral, he came back with a vengeance. Like somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, listen here, Negro. You better go back up there and say what we tell you to say, boy. Because we heard you last time. You look like you're an apologist for anti-Semitism of Kyrie Irving. I don't know who they sent to talk to him, but boy, he came back and he was shucking and jiving, boy. He was doing the whole dance. Chris Broussard, you disappointed me, bro, because you're one of the guys I had in high regard. High regard. That's why I say cancel all of you guys. All of you guys. All you got to be canceled. Chris Broussard came back and talking about, oh, the book spelled Adolf Hitler wrong and all kind of nonsense. Like, Kyrie, don't make your stand on this, bro. Like, don't pick this. Don't make your stand on this. Listen to me, man. Why do you Negroes in sports arbitrarily choose when you want to be black, when you want to have a backbone for your actual history? Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Why do you jump on colonizer narratives when it comes to controversial issues in respect to the black community? Why do you do that to yourself? People, and this is the funny part. They're telling Kyrie Irving he needs to go get re-educated. You Negroes have been indoctrinated into a form of information, I can't even call it the truth, that has been accepted. And not all of it is accurate. Not all of it is contextual. Not all of it is kosher. If I say that specifically, not all of it is kosher. And so what you gentlemen have done now is you're doing the exact opposite. You're doing the exact same thing that you're accusing Kyrie of, is you are uneducated about a particular matter, and now you're coming at it and saying, well, Kyrie needs to be re-educated. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to be re-educated. Joe Tsai, or Joe Tsai, I don't know how to say his name properly. It's not my language. It was given to me by the colonizer, so I apologize if I don't function the way you want me to function with it. But Joe Tsai, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, I've heard multiple reports that he's very fed up with Kyrie, and he has sent Kyrie multiple text messages, and Kyrie was not responding directly to him, only his agent. What? Since when is it a problem? Because remember, in the NBA, 90% of these agents are lawyers, right? I don't know who Kyrie's agent is at this moment, but most of these agents are lawyers. And if they're not lawyers, they're absolutely great representatives of the legalities of what they can, their clients can and cannot do. So who else to respond to his boss than his lawyer, his agent? And apparently that now is being spun as a problem. Oh, Kyrie, he's not communicating with the Nets. He's not communicating with the owner. The owner has sent him multiple texts. So what? He has representation talking to the owner. So not only can what's happened is that not only can people not tweet anymore, not only can you not have opinion anymore, you can't even use your actual representation. You got to go talk to Massa when Massa calls and said, boy, come here. We need to talk. You can't even use your legal representation to respond on your behest. Come on, man. What is this thing turning into? So this is what's going to happen. This is why these gentlemen should be so happy. The collective bargaining agreement is going to be overhauled. The legal framework for how to deal with disputes. Whoo! That's what's going to be overhauled. These guys are not arguing about money anymore. Money is now off the table. TV deals have turned the NBA into an incredible cash cow for everybody. You got bums making $30 million. Bums. But now, this is what it needs now. The collective bargaining agreement has to have a conflict resolution clause. When can your employer say, we can suspend you without pay? No, you can't. You can't suspend me without pay because I'm not ill. I want to play. You don't want me to play. So if you don't want me to play, you got to pay me. You can't tell me that I need to come and apologize to you in order. You're not my parents. I can tell my daughters that. Hey, you want some money? You better come talk to me properly. You want to talk to me properly? You want some money? You better talk to me right. You better apologize. You better go apologize to your mom. You better apologize. I can talk to my children like that. I can't talk to a grown man with a contractual agreement and say, unless you come and talk to me right, unless you apologize, unless you go out there and you do some community work, Negro, go out there and do some community work with the Jews in the neighborhood. Go out there and sign some autographs and hug Yentl and eat some pretzels with the synagogue brother. Come on, man. The collective bargaining agreement has to be able to say, hey, you can't go that far. And who has set the precedent? Spencer Haywood has. Because Negroes in sports will be still Negroes. If you let these guys deal with you the way that they deal with you, if you let the media spin these ways that they're spinning, you're not going to have, the collective bargaining agreement is going to be useless to you because the team's going to be able to do anything to you. Come on, man. Where are we? Kyrie's whipped 1 inch of his life like they did Kunta Kinte. I'm telling you. In Roots. Come on, man. That's what they're doing to him. That's what they're doing to him. What is it called? Claude Anderson. I wanted to see the Renaissance. Harlan, yeah, Major Claude McKay. Was it Claude McKay? What's the first writer of Harlan? That's not the guy I remember. There's a guy who rewrote it. Let's see here. Hold on. The arrogancy of all. How dare you answer my text or call? Not even my email. I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Sorry, guys, sorry. It's really crazy to see that these players can't even be men. They can't even be men when it's time to be men. And I said it, and some of you need to go watch it. On my earlier broadcast, my morning broadcast, I called it the slave, the Jew, and the gentleman. The slave, the Jew, and the gentleman. Please share that. Please share that. I call it the misinformation of Kyrie Irving, the slave, the Jew, and the gentleman. And you know, I said initially there, but these players can't even function as men anymore. You can't be an advocate. You can't be this is what I said. I cannot expect you to become an activist. I'm not going to make you an activist. I don't want you to be an activist. It's not your job to be an activist. You don't have the information, most of you. Let me be your activist. That's what I do. I've got a lot of letters after my name. Some of y'all just see me here talking about basketball, but I got a lot of stuff in this brain. Let me be your activist. I need you to go play basketball. Let me sit down with David Stern, or not David Stern. I keep saying David Stern because that's my heir. Let me sit down with Adam Silver, have a conversation with you. I'll bring the right people to the table. Trust me. I'll bring the right people to the table. I don't listen. This is another thing that the collective bargaining agreement is going to do. NBA players, in my opinion, today's NBA players, and they're probably all professional athletes, you need two things. And I don't know if any NBA player is ever going to see this, but if you see this part, I hope this is the part you get. You need two things. LeBron went and got himself a chef and went and got himself, you know, spent $1 million on his health and all that stuff. Wonderful. That's extra. That's great. But you need two things. Number one, you need to hire a security team the second that you get that money. You need to hire people who are intentional about securing not just you, but your family, right? Vince Carter figured that one out when they raided his house. His wife was locked up in a safe room. When they raided his house, they home invaded him when his wife and his baby were there, a child was there, right? Same thing with Chris Paul. Yeah, these guys you're making hundreds of millions of dollars, you need to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for security. Number one thing you need to do. Anybody who's identified as being part of your entourage, your personal family, think I would send my daughters to school knowing that somebody could kidnap them because I'm making $200 million and they could kidnap her for a quick $1 million? No, buddy, you need security. That's the number one thing. You need security. You need to hire a security team, a small security team, right? Hire a small security team of 5 people. Have a budget for that. While you're an active NBA player, you have a budget for it. I ain't gonna give you a budget. I'd say $300,000 a year, right? Pay those guys properly. You got vehicles for them. They got expense accounts. You know, they got communication devices. They're training, everything like that. They got time off. They can, about $300,000. A 5-team, $300,000, right? That's not a lot of money when you think about it, right? That's $60,000. The peach, that's not a lot of money. It's really not a lot of money. So, and then second thing you need a PR team. If Kyrie Irving had a PR team, he would never be in the problems he's in right now. Never would he be in the problem he's in right now. Because your PR team, first of all, they're going to answer things the way that they're supposed to be answered for you. They're gonna spin it the right way. And guess what? Even if they spun it wrong, you could fire them and say, "This is my PR team. I fired them. I don't represent those thoughts. That's not me. That's my PR team." And yeah, I had to let the CEO of my PR buffer so that you don't get out there and mess up, right? He should have had some talking points, right? Which I think, and I don't think Kyrie didn't. I don't think he spoke badly. But he should have had some talking points. I have a statement. I'm going to say 5 things, and I'm going to take a couple questions, and then the PR team guy. The last thing they could have done, sir. We're not answering that question. We're not answering that question. I'm sorry. At this time, we're not answering that question. That's it. We're not answering that. Nope. That question. We're not answering that question. Next question, or this is over. Let her out so she can go up there and get her stuff. Make sure you come back with the key. That's what should have happened. Just hot water, but it's not too late. It's not too late. That's why I said these guys don't need to be activists. They need to hire activists. Can you get out of the car so that she can get out and get her stuff? They need to hire activists. That's what they need to do. They need to hire people. When Muhammad Ali was dealing with the induction, well, who came to his aid? You might not prove, but the Nation of Islam and the Nation of Islam lawyers. Jericho, you make sure you come back with those keys or we'll get locked out. Nation of Islam and the Nation of Islam lawyers, they came in and took over from Muhammad Ali, man. When Tyson was going through some crazy stuff that he was going through. Remember when the whole thing with Robin Givens and the whole thing with the Tyson rape and everything. Tyson had PR. Kyrie needs a PR team right now. And no disrespect to his mother, his uncle, whoever. It's not your immediate family. It needs to be a third party of individuals. And you know what Kyrie really needs right now? He needs a PR team that is Jewish. He needs a Jewish PR team that sits there and says, hey, yeah, we're a Jewish firm, and we don't think anything he said is actually outrageous. That's what they need right now. You see. We see the arrogance of it all. How dare you not answer my text? Yeah. Come out of her, my people. All right. Langston Hughes, not Langston Hughes. Plantation slave. Yes, we'll share. Oh, please do. To be his representation. That has all. Yeah. Wish someone could be his info. Yeah, man. That has all the information. That has all the information. That's the problem. That's the problem we have right now. Is that this is the first thing Kyrie needs to put out. Okay? Because Kyrie Irving is turning into an ideology. This is what he's turning into. So he needs a statement of beliefs. If I was Kyrie Irving's representation, the first thing I'm going to draft is this is the statement of beliefs of Kyrie Irving. Those are impeachable. Remember, those are protected by charter. My statement of beliefs is protected. I believe in God, the Almighty, creator of heaven and earth. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I believe that I come from Semitic Hebrew background. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I believe that individuals who claim to be Jewish by conversion are still Jewish. Blah, 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 blah. And break it down. These are my belief systems. Nobody has to, nobody, they said this is what they tried to do with him. Could you point out the aspects of the movie that you agreed with? Bro, I don't have to go down and read aspect of somebody else's writings that I agreed with or didn't agree with. All of those things are subjective and contextual. But my statement of beliefs is objective. I worship a rock. If I worship a rock, I worship a purple rock, and I worship a purple rock faced in the western direction. If that's your statement of beliefs, it's objective. Period. That's what this man does. That's what he worships. You can't touch it. The same way that you can't touch it. This is what Dr. Umar, I'm not a big fan of Dr. Umar. He's a little bit too much for me. He's a little bit all over the place for me. But he said something that I will say that he said correctly. He calls the Jewish people the untouchable people. And for me, that's not true. I will speak on anyone. I'm not afraid of nobody, but they are. They're trying to recreate this concept of being untouchable. And they're not untouchable. But somebody's ideology, somebody's religious beliefs, in respect to what they believe, that's untouchable. But it's definitely not non-debatable. It's not non-debatable. If I say I'm a Christian and I believe that Christ died for my sins and rose from the grave, and therefore he's alive forevermore, right? Some of the basic jargon that we hear about Christianity. Islam does not believe that. Islam says Jesus never died, and therefore he has no reason to rise from the grave. Islam does not believe that. Islam says this, of Jesus, the son of Joseph and Mary, I believe, I'm paraphrasing, they that say that he is the Son of God do error. Islam says this, says that Allah neither begets nor was he begotten. Christians say that Jesus is the only begotten Son of the Father. Those two ideologies, different, polarizing, they can never, those can never be interwoven. Never. You can never look at that. I'm on thing, like, just call this little girl right now and go upstairs and see what her problem is. Go with her. So
yeah, please be careful.
This kid walks out and bashes the car next to her. Children, bro, like, it's crazy. Islam and Christianity are debatable. They're debatable. They're absolutely debatable. They can debate each other. They're debatable. But they have a right to what they believe. We have a right to what we believe. My beliefs are impeachable, but they're absolutely debatable. Kyrie Irving's beliefs are impeachable. Judaism is impeachable, but it's absolutely debatable. My true ethnicity is impeachable, but it's still debatable. I have African men coming to me and telling me, hey, you look like you're an Igbo man from Nigeria, right? And I said, well, yeah, my family has told me that we are Igbo from Nigeria. We look Igbo. We're Igbo, we think we come from Igbo. I said, don't ask my father that. My father said, I don't want nothing to do with Africa. Why, Dad? I don't want nothing to do with Africa. I'm a Trinidadian. I'm a proud Trinidadian. Why does he think like that? Because his scenario is he remembers the whole concept of being left behind, of being cast away by his African ancestry, and realizing, no, listen, all we have is what we have here. All we have is what we have here in Canada, or sorry, Trinidad. He doesn't want to be considered African. That's a black man. He doesn't want to be considered African because he disenfranchises himself from the rejection of African and from Africa. And same thing with Indians in Trinidad. They came as indentured servants to Trinidad, and they were supposed to work for a while, and then go back to India and get their land and get some money. But they were ripped off. They were lied to, and so they gave up on India, and they became Trinidadian. And they own that land. They own that nationality for themselves. And so there are many things, ladies and gentlemen, that are debatable. Why do the Jews, the Zionist Jews, it's really only the Zionists who behave like this, why do they think that their scenario is not debatable? Why? It's absolutely debatable. There's nothing that cannot be said about questioning another religion by other people with different beliefs, respectfully. And I said this earlier, Kyrie's always been a gentleman, and he's allowed to speak his views and speak his beliefs, and he says he's learning and he's discovering. He's 30 years old. Absolutely, he's a young man. So I'll leave it there. The Negroes in sports, we have to cancel them. We have to shut them down. Christopher Columbus discovering America first was the narrative. Right. Everyone knows it. Things should be questioned. Exactly. Christopher Columbus was lost. He thought he discovered the West Indies. He thought he was lost. He discovered the West Indies, but he didn't know where he was. He was lost. The brother was lost. He thought he got to India, actually. I believe he thought he got to India. He was lost. That's why he called it the West Indies. He thought he was lost. The man was just completely lost. In Trinidad, we have a soca song we call Christopher Columbus was a damn blasted liar. That's what we call him. We call him a liar. Right? We say he lied. He lied to us. We don't know. We don't recognize him. He's a liar. So everything has to be questioned. Why cannot the Jews be questioned? This is the incredible thing to me. Why can you not be questioned? Now, they're like, oh, they're calling Jewish people devils and all this. Has anybody ever done a study on the Nation of Islam and where the Nation of Islam believes white people came from? The original Elijah Muhammad doctrine from the Nation of Islam. This stuff that we don't talk about much anymore, right? Farrakhan doesn't talk this kind of stuff anymore. But they used to say that white people were created in a laboratory, that they're aliens, all kind of. The Nation of Islam, and we're not talking about fundamental Islam, right? And I'm not an apologist for either. Fundamental Islam, Nation of Islam, I just know they're different. And some of the things that they used to say about white people, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. It is crazy. Nation of Islam still kicking. Nobody's trying to cancel that. Mormonism. Do you know that one of the earlier doctrines from the Book of Mormon, and apparently this was overturned, was that black people can't go to heaven. They have a concept that basically a good Mormon, ultimately he becomes like God or becomes God. He some kind of thing that they got in there. That can happen but it can't happen. Lots of ideologies behave like this. And so what I'd like to say to you, let's keep our eyes open for what's around the corner. The collective bargaining agreement is going to be affected. Kyrie Irving, we don't know what the situation with him is yet. We don't know what it's going to be. But I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to boycott the doggone NBA. I'm going to boycott all these beat writers. I'm going to unfollow all of them. And we're going to talk. We're going to talk. All right? This is Big Del K. Brereton's The Real Spiel. I got to go. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you, man. Please subscribe. Looking to get it to 1,000 this week. Bye-bye.